I should be live now. Let me just make sure the audio is working. Switch to my music. Okay. Now what you should notice is that we have a slightly different musical selection today. And I'm very excited about that actually. Hello, Edbot. Hello, Edbot. And I think today I have learned a little bit more about how to manage my streaming setup, so it should be easier. As you can see, I'm a little more dressed up for tonight's event than I normally am. I thought I'd just class up the joint a little bit by putting on an actual shirt and a jacket. Has anyone ever watched Patrick Boyle's videos? He focuses on economics. And he's a really interesting channel, and I just thought I'd take a page out of his book and dress up just a little bit. Let me just say a quick hello to Edbot. Actually, before I do that, let me fix this thing. There we go. It's a little bit easier for me to have it closer to my mouth. Hello. Okay, chat is open. Let me make sure the Discord is there. I see Edbot has a question. So let's make sure we address the question. Give me a second, Edbot. I'm just making sure I get my chat windows. Okay, been curious how comfortable to use the new Intuos Pro Large. Is upside down with the buttons below instead of above. We'll try it out in the stream. How's that? It's definitely possible. I mentioned that in my first stream, and now we can see maybe what it actually feels like. And again, I did it with the small. Obviously it's possible with the large. Let's see how it works out. Okay, so let me just show the title for the screen real quick. Hopefully this works correctly. There we go. You see the title. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Intuos Pro 2025 series. Now, I did a stream already on the Medium, which is a very detailed stream. And what happened this week was I got an email from Wacom, and they said, I tried to order the large and the small. I tried to order all three actually in March. And they just came back this week and they said, hey, now the large and small are finally available in the store. So the minute I got that email, I ordered it, and they just arrived literally, I think, 3 hours ago. So I wanted to, as soon as I got them, I wanted to just go live a few hours later. And while the mood struck me and the feeling was fresh, talk about these two tablets. And we'll revisit some of the things we talked about in the Intuos Pro 2025 Medium discussion, and we'll talk about some things that I've learned, as well as some feedback I've received from the community. Nick Tyler asks, hello. Hello, good to see you, Nick. Appreciate your presence on the streams as always. Finally got the big one. That is right. I have the big tablet here. And let me just show everyone, and you know what, just to make it totally complete for everybody. First, I have all 6 tablets. So I have the small, the 2017 small, medium, and large. They're right in front of me. And this is the 2025 medium I talked about a week or so ago. And I have not even unpacked it, the small. And I'll avoid showing the medium box for a second. And then the Intuos Pro 2025 large. So yeah. So let's actually just jump right into it. Oh, before I get into it, what I want to say is, I learned things from the community. People have been giving feedback. I've been watching more videos. Albert OG has a comment or a question. Did Wacom mention they watched your reviews? I wish they would. I wish they would. They have never mentioned anything about them. I have been told that some brands do watch my videos, but I've never heard anything from the Wacom people. They've been very quiet to me. Their support has been excellent when I talk to them, but they've never made any comment that they even are aware of what I do. So, and I wish they would, because I feel like as much as I criticize, and I'm pretty harsh on them sometimes, I also consider myself a fan of what they do. You know, I want them to succeed. I want all tablet brands to succeed. Let's see. Nick Tyler has a request. Please do a direct comparison of medium and L face-to-face. I've checked the specs and they are not much different. Many people still think they're double in size. Yeah, we will do that. We'll compare anything you want to compare. I've got all 6 tablets right in front of me so we can compare them. And as you know from last week, we can compare any Intuos Pro from any generation all the way back to 98. If we need be, we can do that as well. Okay, let me get my system set. Any other? Cami Luna has joined us. Hello, Cami. Always great to have you on the stream as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's begin with a little bit of unboxing, shall we? And let me swing this over. And I do want you all to comment on, do you like me dressed like this? Is it adding enough class to the event? I hope it makes a difference. And then let's see. Nick has another comment. Request, please. No, that's the old comment. Sorry. Yeah, and on the tablet 2, big advantage of M is if it fits in front of the keyboard. Yeah, we can take a look at the position on the keyboard. Can you put the L in the same way, or it's too big for such a layout? Yeah, great question, because it is one of the more difficult things with large size tablets, the Intuos Pro large, 2017 large. I have long arms, and it's awkward for me to put the keyboard above the tablet. So we'll play around with that. I'll show you how it works for me. Cami Luna has a comment. I wondered if you unretired with that suit on. I guess it does. I guess it does look like I'm back in business. But let me assure you, unless you're in marketing and you're visiting a customer, you do not dress up in a suit at Microsoft at any moment in time. It just does not happen. The only time an employee dresses up in a suit is, in fact, when they're interviewing, and we don't even ask them to. But people, especially college students, tend to dress up in a suit. I did when I interviewed. But it's not necessary, and no one pays attention. And I have occasionally at work worn a suit. All that will happen is people will look at you weird. They will ask you, are you interviewing somewhere? They'll ask you, is there some special event? So it's just a very unusual thing to do on Microsoft campus. Let's see. Sarah Vaughn says, yes, too much class, but it's good. Okay. Yeah, and by the way, one reason I'm wearing the suit is, now normally I wear a hoodie. I got tired of the hoodie. And actually, I like the idea of wearing something consistent because it gets my mind in the mood for doing the stream. Like I'm in, the right personality for the stream. And I'm a big believer in dressing for the moment. And when you wear a suit, you move different, you walk different, you engage with people differently. And I can feel it right now. My energy is different with this jacket on. And this isn't a very formal suit either. And so, I think it's going to be a uniform I adopt. Maybe not the specific jacket and shirt, but I like the idea of it. It's not very common to wear something like this on a stream. Okay, enough about my sartorial philosophy. Let's get to some unboxing. Okay, now give me a moment. I will move things out of the way so that it's a bit easier for me to do the unboxing. I know how everyone loves these unboxing segments. Let's see, Nick has a comment as well. Too much class for official Wacom presentation. I've seen some of their streams in Japanese with some artists presenting new Intuos. It was hilarious. Well, you know, part of dressing to the occasion means if you're an artist, I expect you to dress a little bit wilder than a suit. It's part of the artist's image, right? Okay, I think I've got everything here. Let me just go ahead and get my, and you're seeing, there we go. Okay, and let me move the keyboard away for just a moment. So the first thing is I have the Intuos Small, Intuos Pro Small. And as I mentioned the other week, it is a very tiny, you can just tell how light it is. And in fact, it's hard to believe this is a tablet, to be quite honest. I may need a knife here. Or I might be able to use my fingernail for this one. Yeah, I think that worked. So this shouldn't be too surprising. I gotta tell you, it just feels crazy small. It is crazy light. Nothing surprising here. And it looks beautiful. If you like this design, I do like the design. It looks beautiful. I know everyone wants a comparison, so let's just take the Intuos Pro 2017 Small and put it right next to it and just take a look. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is that the heights are about the same. It's the widths are different, right? Now, if you remember the math I did, it's not obvious here if you take a look, but the active area is right about here, and the active area is right about here, and the active area on the new tablet is a bit bigger than the old tablet, and this is a 16 by 9. This is like a 16 by 10 in terms of active area, okay? So, let me just take it, feel it. Okay, let me just take a look. Nothing too surprising here. Oh, we have a question. We have a procedural question here from Edbot. Do you put tape on the mouse to hide the brands or to give them more grip? Fantastic question. It's not to hide the brands. I generally don't. I haven't had any concern about the brands appearing on my streams. The reason the reason there is tape here isn't for grip. It's because I have two keyboards, because I have a two streaming setup. My streaming PC is a Mac, and the PC I'm doing the presentation on is a Windows PC. And because I have two keyboards and two mouse, I'm always picking the wrong one. So I put colored tape on them to organize which one's which, so I know which one belongs to which. Blue means my streaming setup, and red means my demo machine. What I'm actually showing you when I'm showing the present, like when I'm showing you this is from my actual demo machine, which is being fed into my streaming machine, which is then being sent to YouTube. So sorry for the extra detail, but I wanted you to know why I have. Now, the tape on the keyboards has nothing to do with the tape on the tablets. Okay, I just want to let you know. Because you see red here, and that is I was using red to indicate Wacom for a while. I actually just recently switched, but this is a remnant of some older technique I have for identifying things. Let's see. Victor Hugo Cruz, the 2017 is so much better. I will say, Victor, both have their advantages and disadvantages, but having now the 2025 in hand and using them and reading some comments, I'm starting to really appreciate the design of the 2017. Like I never did not appreciate it. I always thought it was a fantastic design. I'm appreciating its touches even more now that I have something to compare it to, which is another Intuos Pro. And I think that I have a segment in this video where we're going to go down the differences between the 2017 and 2025. We'll get your input as well. And the question we're going to try to answer is, if you have a 2017, should you upgrade to the 2025? I'll just say right now, I think the answer is no, because you may not like some of the changes, because this design of the 2017 is very good. Nick says the most funny thing was did they take all three Intuos, S, small, medium, and large, and you know what they did with them? They put them on a stand while the artist guy was just sitting and talking but no touching. That's interesting. That's interesting. I think Nick is referring to a video he saw on the Wacom channel. That's weird to put them on a stand. I mean, I sort of get it with the large, but I've never actually seen anyone do that with a medium or small. And I saw those videos Wacom published leading up and right after the launch. And, you know, it's what you'd expect from any company releasing a device to be used, an input device. You know, people were praising it. I think they were right to praise the tablet, but you don't get a good feel for what it's like to actually use it long term. And that's some of the things I discovered and people have discovered and they're sharing with me. So we'll talk about those topics. And Cami Luna actually recently got the small, and she says she likes it and it fits with every tablet or non-tablet setup I have. Yeah, this is very small. In fact, you can see my hand is actually, now, I don't have a very big hand. Oops, you can't see my hand, of course. Where am I? My hand is actually just slightly bigger than or wider, so I can cover the surface area very well. It's not quite true with the Intuos Pro 2017 model. So now, since I've got them both here, one of the things I really notice, we'll talk about more, are the bezels. The Intuos Pro 2017, you know, it curves down on the bottom and it curves down on the top, right? That way you can rotate it in both directions. That's a touch I never really appreciated. The soft curve of the bezel on the top and bottom. This does not do that. And one of the things I got a lot of feedback on from people, a lot of comments I saw on Reddit and on YouTube, is people talking about, and I did mention it in my previous stream, is the difference in these bezels. Now it's a little rounded, just very tiny bit here, but I will tell you, if you physically measured these bezels, you would think they feel exactly the same. They don't. This has a little bit more of it digs into your hand a bit more, and lots of people felt that it just was irritating. Some people actually said it hurt them. Now, I didn't feel like it hurt my hand, but I noticed it. I still notice it. And it, you know, again, the difference is slight, but it just, if you've used this for many years, which many of you have, you'll notice it, okay? Let's see. That wasn't the type I really did say table, since I have several tabletops. Thank you, Camille. I thought it was tablets. My mistake. I apologize. Nick has a question. I never got the 2017 version because my 2012 Medium Pro works fine. I like having... Oh, sorry. I missed... I conflated Nick's comment with Cami Luna's. Nick's question was, am I the only one who doesn't care about packing electronics? If it comes in one piece, good. These boxes go in the garage and no one sees them again. I will say this because I had to deal with so many boxes during my history of Wacom Intuos Pro series stream last week. I have come to appreciate how things are packed a bit more because they're simpler now. Older packing had all sorts of cardboard that would fold and little pieces of cardboard and little boxes. That is much less prevalent now, and it's just cleaner, so I do appreciate that. Also, packaging has gotten smaller, which I think is nice. But other than that, yeah, I just put it in a room and I keep it, right? And yeah, no one sees them again, just as you've commented, Nick. Okay, and then Cami Luna says, I never got the 2017 because the 2012 Medium Pro just works fine. I have a big and small pen tablet, and the small one also has S Pen support, so I can use this with my Samsung. Yeah, that's an aspect of why the 2025 is interesting, which, again, I don't think if you have a 2017, you should get the 2025 necessarily. but it is an advantage of the 2025 model. So one more thing I just want to make sure people notice is that there are actually just 2 of these pairs of express keys and dials. So the medium and large models have 2 pairs. This only has 1 pair. Other than that, it's the same exact tablet, and it feels good. I will say, again, I understand the perspective some people have shared with me, which is why they feel this feels a little bit more like a consumer tablet. First of all, Wacom has tended with their consumer tablets to have these controls on top, and the side, I don't know how to express this, and I think it may even be kind of unfair. I think the bezels contribute to the sense that this was a more professional tablet, and so with the shrinking of the bezels, some people, and I can understand the perspective more now, the 2025 can seem like a more consumer tablet simply because it's physically smaller. Okay? So that's one thing to keep in mind. Okay, now let's take a look at the... Oh, before I do this, let me just compare the small to the medium, right? So here's the medium. Where's my other medium here? I'm just laying them on top, right? You can see the difference in size, right? It's quite substantial. I will say the relative sizes seem about the same in terms of the differences. Definitely, both the smalls feel like small compared to the mediums, right? These aren't close in size, right? Like the old small does not feel like, the old small doesn't feel like the new medium. There's clearly a size difference in both cases. So we covered this last week, the medium size. So I'll go ahead and just move to the large size. And this definitely feels heavier. It's obvious. But now I've got to use my thumbnail to cut this. I may need a knife for this one. Or I gotta remove that tape maybe. Yeah, there we go. I've got a solution that means just a little bit of tape removal. And Nick has got a comment. The S Pen for my latest S25 Ultra is so bad. I hate even touching it. I thought sketching on a smartphone would be nice, but it's not. Could you clarify, Nick? Is it because of the pen? Because I know it's a very tiny pen. I have the S24 Ultra. Yeah, I think that's the one I have. Yeah, S24 Ultra, I think. And I don't like drawing with it, though I have tried with another S Pen, and obviously it works on that same phone. But yeah, in general, the size is just too small for me. It's more like an emergency sketching for me. I would not normally pick it for sketching. Okay, let's. Sorry, I'm gonna unbox this. And Nick, just remind me, what comparisons you want me to make, because I might have forgotten. I'm more than happy to. Oops. Give me a second. My earphone fell out for a second. There we go. Here is the large. Here's the large. Now, the large size for the Intuos Pro 2017 is my favorite to use. And I have to tell you up front, I've always felt like the large sizes are luxurious, and I'm definitely having that feeling with this one. Just taking a look at it, let's compare the sizes. this is the small, sorry, it's unfair to compare the small. Let's compare the medium to the large. One second. Okay, so my hand covers most of this area, but like it looks luxurious. The bezels feel the same. The bezels are the same width as well. One thing you might notice if I place these on top of each other, and actually for some reason when I saw the photos of the large, in my mind, these buttons, these express keys seem like they're split apart much further, but they're actually, as you can tell from the video, they're actually exactly the same distance apart. But in my mind, in the photos, I don't know, there was some sort of like just sort of an optical illusion, and I somehow thought they were like toward the edges. And I think that matters. I actually think that matters. Let me tell you why. Let me just show you the medium, and let's just talk about what people have noticed. And I didn't mention this in my previous stream, but it's worth talking about. Let me pick the medium here. Now, I don't use express keys, but when I do, I'm drawing. Let me pick up a pen. And it's not connected, so you're not gonna see anything. I'm drawing like this, and I can press the buttons, and they're not gonna interfere with my hand whatsoever, right? I can rest my hand here, and yeah, if I really put it here, they're gonna interfere, but basically I can leave my left hand on this side, and completely there's no interference, and my hand is gliding on the surface completely, okay? So that's good, and of course, it works for the left-handed people the same way, right? Okay. What people pointed out, and I should have mentioned in my previous stream, is that if you're drawing here, you can't leave your hand on the buttons. First of all, they're quite wide, so like, you know, with the, let me bring up the medium here. I can leave my hand in such a way that I can basically hit any of the buttons, right, with the hand. Like, I'm covering the entire set of buttons with my hand. But here, this is awkward and weird. Like, you can't do that. Does that make sense? If you have a hand here, you can't leave it there. Now, you can leave your hand here, but look where my thumb is, right? And I am occluding the active area, right? And I'm just touching the first button. I'm just leaving my hand close to the first button. This is about as far as I can put my hand on this tablet without touching the active area, right? So yeah, I may not be drawing this area, but like, if you want a quick access to the right side, you're not gonna be able to put your hand on the tablets, because most people draw on this area, and it's gonna interfere. So I think this is an issue that many people have pointed out. I should have pointed out in my original stream. Let's take a look at a few comments. Nick said, I didn't try the previous generations, but it's very small, bad grip, zero friction on glossy screen. I forgot about that. It does feel cheap. It does feel cheap. And then Edbot, sketching on photos is still not quite there. On phones, I had a Fold 4 and S21, and it was kind of annoying drawing in a small screen. Yeah, I couldn't adjust to it. How some people are able to do it is still miraculous seeming to me. Victor Hugo Cruz says, which model would you pick for long sessions of drawing? I would always pick the large, because I feel like it's a more relaxed thing to do. And of course, you can adjust the active area to be any size. I'm looking at the medium, but I'll talk more about it. Basically, you can give yourself as much bezel as you need with any of these tablets, but with the large, you can give yourself as much, a lot of bezel if you want that. So for me, I think the medium was a great choice for Intuos Pro 2017. But I will say, let me bring up the and then we'll talk about it more later in the stream. Take a look at the size of the Intuos Pro Large, the 2025 model, versus the medium from the 2017 model. Look how close in size they are, right? Like physical size, right? This is very different from what we saw with the Intuos Pro 2017 large. Let me put this underneath here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Here's the 2017 large, and here's the 2025 large. Pretty big difference. And here's the medium. I think the new size of the 2025 large is a nice intermediate. It creates more space on the desk, right? And you can see it really is it's only just a little bit larger than you had with the Intuos Pro 2017. So I think this is going to be an option for more people. Now, getting back to where I was a moment ago when I talked about where your hand's going to rest. Your hand's going to rest here. If you want to put I'm not saying your hands are going to rest. I'm saying you cannot follow the same pattern that you had with Intuos Pro 2017. You can't just leave your hand on these things and quickly switch, because my thumb is just right in the way, right? And let's take a look at some more comments. Hang on a second. Okay, I bought a normal phone and an iPad mini for outdoor sketching. iPad mini, I haven't tried that yet. I'll have to try it. I can believe the size works for just kind of like, if you're really on the go. I would absolutely believe that. Okay, Victor, Hugo, I think I answered your question. Kemi Lynn, if I had one of these phones, I would get another pen to draw on it, but it makes more sense to get a budget Android tablet or iPad to use as a sketchbook than a phone. I agree. So as a great example, like, S9 FE, or, I think an S6 Lite 2022 edition or 2024 edition also works well at the lowest end possible. Edbot says, also the pen in the Fold 4 keeps breaking the nib. Interesting. For phone, it may be better to get a different pen, but for the Fold, unfortunately, you cannot use any other pen but the S Pen. Not even like a Wacom CP913, Edbot? It should work. It should be using the same technology. Saravan says, large is as expensive as my XP Pen Artist Pro 16. I am not wrong. Yeah, it is. I'm not sure which region you're in, but I believe the large is like $500 and probably discounted to $400. So it is expensive. Actually, and that's a good point, the cost of this. This is as expensive as a Samsung S9 FE, right? Which is saying something, right? Because that's a standalone tablet. Okay, let's take a look at some more comments here. Cami Luna S Pen Fold Edition because it needs to be soft enough to not rip the crease. Okay. Nick says, yeah, side by side, it's not much different. Adds like 2 inches in height, 3 to 4 in width. So if your keyboard is behind the tablet, those dials on top should make some sense. Yeah, so let's try that out actually. I may need to adjust my zoom a little bit. Maybe the other direction. Okay, so just for comparison, so everyone understands what's going on, I'm going to put a keyboard on top, meaning above this thing. Okay, this is the 20. So notice this is some kind of Logitech keyboard. Now, when you're drawing, depending on how, some people don't like this totally next to them. Some people want this a little bit further away. It can get a little bit awkward for some people to reach these keys. And again, my arms are a little bit long for my height. So what some people do is they actually take the keyboard and they move it on top, just on the top edge of the tablet. Now it's not covering where I draw. It's like maybe half an inch. It's giving me some space there, but it's just a little bit closer. So sometimes I do this because it's more convenient. Again, I'm keeping the tablet closer to me than I normally do. I like it a little bit further, so I actually do it this way, right? And in fact, when I'm using a large tablet, when I'm not using it, I don't move it. I just put the keyboard on top and keep typing, just like this, okay? That's what I normally do. Now let's take a look at what would happen. And of course, this layout kind of makes sense because I'm painting or drawing with a pen, and I can do this business. I can use any of the keys with my right hand and use these express keys with the left. That kind of works if you're an express key user. Let's take a look at what happens. Edbot wants me to show the Intuos upside down now. Give me just 1 minute, Edbot. I will do that. Let's just change this up. So first of all, I can tell you immediately that this is closer to me. Like again, my arms are just a tiny bit longer than they should be for a 6-foot-tall man. But this feels like a great distance for me. So this works well for me. Now, if I'm trying to type, as I mentioned in my previous stream, if these express keys are turned on, if I'm hitting the lower set of keys, I don't accidentally touch this. If I'm touching the top keys, the lower part of my hand will press these things, okay, the express keys. And Purple just asked a question, just joined in, is this the 2025 model, right? The one I'm showing at this very second, yeah, is the 2025 model. And let me, so this feels good. Let's now just try, let me get through some comments and I'll flip it upside down as Edbot wants. Give me a second. Nick says, yeah, the large is best when I sketch full height character. Medium just feels a little too small to draw without zooming in. And I think Nick and I have very similar tastes in terms of the size. And I will say this, I've always said that using a large tablet has a kind of luxurious feel, right? To me, using the large size gives you the most space. Now, don't get me wrong. I made a long video about using a large size tablet. And I will say this, you have to train yourself to use a large size tablet, because if you don't, you'll end up using the same amount of area as the medium. Because I am a wrist drawer, or I was a wrist drawer. So it takes time, and you have to sort of, almost like you have to work the body out to train yourself to use the full size of the large. And once you do, I feel like you have better control over your strokes. I feel like you have better control over, they're more stable, but you have to learn how to do it, right? And that stability isn't just because of the tablet, it's because you're using more of your forearm, your arm, and even your shoulder to make curves, right? Victor Hugo, Chris, I was talking more about because of the bezels or ergonomic issues. King No Dumb says, I haven't used a drawing tablet in almost 9 years and I sort of miss them. That was like me not too long ago. For some strange reason in 2000, I think, I can't remember when, I think it was like 2007 or 8, I just quit drawing for almost a decade. And somehow I just got right back into it, and then I started this channel. Okay, Edbot says, let's try using the Intuos upside down now. Okay. Edbot, do you want me to actually set up the tablet to be used upside down? I'll be happy to do it. Or do you just want me to physically position the tablet upside down? Because I can do both. Now, I got to tell you, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, of course. So okay. I'm doing exactly what Edbot has asked, and I'm using the tablet upside down. I will say I kind of appreciate the small bezel here because it's very close to the keyboard. This works very well. Now, does the bottom get in the way physically? It might, yeah. It's not like it doesn't interfere, but it does feel weird to feel them. Like, because you can hear the buttons depress. You can feel the wheel move. I'm right-handed, so these aren't being pressed, I would say, but these definitely are. Now my hand at this size is not hovering here; it's more like just on the edge here. So I think for the large size, almost you might not feel this depending on how you put your arm. If your arm's here, you'll feel it. If you're more like me, you won't feel it here, right? I would find this very comfortable. Now, again, we have to keep in mind, some people do not like the relative sharpness of this bezel. I'm not feeling it right now because I have a shirt and this jacket on, so it doesn't really hurt me that much. Of course, if I was drawing all the way over here, I might have an issue, right? If the flesh of my hand is on the edge. Let's see. And Nick says, don't put keyboard on tablets. I did scratch one of my tablets badly with some Chinese keyboard. It had one metal screw head popping out and it scratched Intuos bad. Oh, sorry to hear that, Nick. Great point, though. And I've not with a keyboard. Actually, I used to just be very not uncaring about putting things on top of tablets. And like I would put keyboards, all sorts of devices, because these are so flat and they're so durable, you just think you can do anything with them. And I actually scratched up my Movink that way. I put a keyboard on top of it. And the Movink is softer. It does not as rigid, it's not as durable as this surface. But yeah, it's an accidentally good, easy way to scratch up a tablet. So do be careful. Try not to stack things on top of your tablet. So it's a very worthy point. Sarvan says Brad Cobo made a really good point about the design, which makes sense and why Wacom might have made that choice. Sarvan, can you, since I can't actually remember Brad's video, could you maybe summarize what that point was? Prima says, I think the buttons are meant to be pressed with your drawing hand. Prima, I think you're right in a sense, but here's okay, I can only talk about the way I use the tablet. I'm going to pretend that, there are express keys here for a second, okay? And I'm pressing keys here. Actually, I'll use this to make it more obvious. Like, I like the idea of being able to draw and like rapidly switch here, okay? I'm a person who feels that changing the position of my hand is weird, right? I don't like to change it from where it's at on the screen, on the tablet. So for example, that's one reason I don't use erasers, okay? Because with an eraser, I'm drawing, and then to erase it, I have to do this. Okay, so what happens when I do that flip? I have a hard time recentering my pen, right? And it's just physically disruptive, right? So I'm talking about the way I draw. And so for me, if I'm using one of these tablets, the 2025 edition, I would personally, and I have drawn with them, I find it disruptive to, let me show you, to draw and then go over here and do something and come back, right? Again, that's me. I think a lot of people can probably just like do something here and I don't know, reach with your pinky finger or something. But to me, I find that very disruptive. And in either case, like moving it this way or this way. That's why it's not working as much for me, right? But I think some people are kind of okay with it. And so for them, if they If they feel like this is something they're able to do, like draw, touch, come back, then that'll work for them. See, Prima says, and usually the non-drawing hand over the keyboard. Oh, I see. Like this. If someone does it that way, I totally get it. It makes sense if this is what they're doing. It's just my body, I guess. I also remember that I don't use the keyboard. I use a tour box, and I don't have a tour box with me. Let's pretend. Let's pretend this is a tour box. Everyone knows what a tour box is, right? So I draw like this. I never touch the keyboard. I'm always using the tour box, and I remember with the tour box, you don't need to look at the tour box. So for me, and again, this is the way I draw. This is my setup. Having to use a keyboard and these express keys, this is just not working for me, right? I'm sure other people use the keyboard. For them, this might feel much more natural to do this, right? For me, it's just very awkward. Don't work with one handle. I'll keep the non-drawing hand hover. Yeah, over like this. Got it. Edbot says, want to see how comfortable it is to use like that. Again, I think I showed that. I feel for me, it's not comfortable. Like, maybe it's also due to the size of the tablet, honestly. It's just a lot to deal with for me. When I use the tour box, my hand's here, flat. My arms here, kind of flat. And like, it's just, there's not a lot of movement, right? I don't have to look at the keyboard. It just works for me. Okay. I'm getting this to upgrade my 2013. I think if you have a 2013, this is a reasonable upgrade. Just again, you have to be clear on how you feel about the express keys and it'll work. Let's see a few more comments. I want to see how big it is compared to the Movink, unless you already did the comparison. I didn't do that. Let me go get a Movink. I'll be right back, okay? Just give me 1 second. Okay, Movink is back with me. So let us compare the size. Who wanted the Huion? I think wanted this comparison. Here it is. Okay. It's a good one to ask for the comparison because it is, the Movink styling is very similar to the Intuos Pro 2025 styling. So let's start with, I'll just show you all three. Let me put the Movink down. Okay. And here's the small on top of the Movink. Clearly a big difference, right? Here is the medium with the Movink. Now the medium is much closer in size. It's about the same height. The Movink's a little bit wider, and the Movink does have a bigger active area than the medium, even though it is the closest in size. And now, Huion, let's show you. I'll do this in the reverse order. This is the 2025 large with the Movink, right? So overall, the Movink feels much closer to me to the 2025 medium than to the large. So I hope that helps. And And let's see, we have a few more comments as well. Test it rotated 90 degrees, Nick says, with dials on the left. If you map it to half the screen, you should get a huge working space on the tablet. Okay, let's try it out. Since Nick is asking for a test, let us actually do a test. Let me get a cable here. I think this cable, I need a lot longer cable for this. Let me get some Red Bull. Charge my energy up for this. Okay, let's plug this in. Okay, and Nick, if you want me to use a specific version of this, I think you want the large. So let's just go ahead and try it out here. Let me. Let's see, I think I want to do this. Yeah, okay. Attach this. You know, I know no one's ever going to do it, but I really wish USB ports on these tablets were on both sides. I hate having the cord run, you know, diagonally, or sorry, laterally across my table. Okay. So Nick wanted it buttons on the left, I believe. It feels weird, Nick. I'll tell you that. It feels. Okay, let me just react. Let me just feel this out for a second. I mean, it's very long. It is very long. It would be hard to type this way if you put the keyboard up here. And there's very little, you know, bezel, so putting it on top is not going to help. But I'm going to leave the keyboard. I know you can barely see it, but the keyboard is above the tablet. Let me go ahead and launch Krita. Give me a second. Let's get a new image here. File, new. Create. Is it working? Okay, I think it is. I've got the Pro Pen too with me. So, I gotta configure this thing. And I'm gonna bring up the Wacom Center. Oh, darn it. I clicked a button and launched Windows Copilot. And you know I never wanna do that. Okay, where's Wacom Center? Okay. Skip all this nonsense. Intuos Pro L. I really wish it said Intuos Pro 25L. 2025L. I want to go to mapping, and I want it on the screen that I'm going to show you, that I am showing you. Select display mapping. Select one display. They really have improved and made this UI more obvious. So I set it to display one, apply. One thing just to notice here, there's a bug in the way the UI is presented. The image of the tablet is really shrunk in left to right. It is not. You can see it right here. It almost looks like a square. So they've not done something correctly here. It still works correctly. It's not rendered correctly on the screen here. And I want force proportions just in case. It says inactive area detected, which is normal. And let's see, what else do I need? I need to flip it. Right. I need it to be button to the left. Would you like to apply the orientation? Portrait flipped, confirm. Let's go back to mapping and see what it does. Okay, they did represent this correctly now. And so you can see the active area here is just in the middle. So it's right about here. So so which means that I can put the keyboard now sort of over here. I know Nick was like, hey, you shouldn't do that because you're going to scratch it up, but this has no sharp edges. I know that. Okay. Oh, I didn't set the mapping to the right. It's set to the wrong monitor still for some reason. Let me fix that. This driver is actually a little confused. It's supposed to go to display 1, which it was, but it's mismapped. So I'm trying to select it off and back on again. Okay, now it's in the correct place. Okay. So everyone can see what I'm doing, right? Okay, there's a bug, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll let's see if we can figure this out here. Oh, there's a really, how can I explain this? It does not work correctly, is what I'm trying to say. There's a bug in the driver, and you can't see it. But basically, not only is the mouse here should be on the screen that you're seeing with Krita, and it's on the other screen, even though it's configured to be obviously on the screen that you see. The second thing, which is not obvious, is that this mouse is not moving correctly. The mapping is incorrect. So like this is, now you're seeing it correct. So maybe it's adjusted. Or maybe it's a Krita problem. Let me restart Krita. Applications often get confused when you change the mapping on the tablet while the application is up. So this could have been my fault. It may not be a bug, or it may not be a complete bug. Okay. Hey, this kind of works. Let's verify the mapping has no bugs by tracing out this bottle of Red Bull here. If I can, where is it? Okay. This should be it. I don't know what's going on here. This Red Bull is actually interfering with that. Let me try something that's plastic. Something about the metal of that Red Bull, or let's try this again. Yeah, it looks like a correct circle. This is a very big circle, but it is working. I don't find it comfortable to use though, Nick. This is just a very weird, I mean, it works correctly. It feels, let's see if I can push my mouse. I can figure out where the limits are. Here, down to here. So this is about the active area, which is about the same as, it's a little bit smaller than the active area of the medium in the normal orientation. So yeah, it works. I don't think I'd recommend this. Because it's kind of awkward, just the placement of it. Let's see. Chameleon says, I find it difficult to use erasers on tablet pens for precise erasing because the button is so blunt and off-putting. It is, and I think that's a good point. That's another reason that I think I'm not totally comfortable using eraser myself, because it is a more blunt end. The precision is still there. Like the tablet still recognizes the position very precisely, but the fact it's a blunt end, it sort of makes you think it'll be more imprecise. Edbot says, I think this configuration was made to benefit people who work with side gadgets or keyboard on top. Yeah, I would agree with that. Pato says, I have the 2013, but those bezels on the 2025 are still bothering me. Yeah, I think you're not alone. Lots of people are just having a lot of, and even I am to some extent. Like, I'm not irritated by them. I just find them, okay, let me just summarize like this. The old bezels from the 2017 were useless for me. The old Express keys were useful for me, and the new Express keys are not only useless, they waste space in a place I don't want them to waste space. So I'm not really a fan of the location. USB-C port on the right of the Intuos, but most laptops have the USB ports. That's true. That's true. Large and portrait should feel like A3 paper. I would say this does. I mean, I think A3. This is about right. That feels like it's about A3. A3 is like 8.5 by 11, right? Or what we would call legal paper. If you have a monitor that's like this orientation, it probably works kind of nicely, rotated like this. Yeah, it will make sense if you put your monitor in vertical orientation too. Yeah, I think then it'll really work, though. And I have seen a few people do their monitor in vertical orientation. I tried that one time. It just didn't make sense for me. I think the software I use, especially art apps, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, but if you see Krita on the screen right now, most art creative apps assume you're going to have your palettes on the right or left. So when you switch to a vertical orientation for your monitor, the palettes just don't. You can't reorganize them to go left to right. And that sort of diminishes the value of vertical orientation for a monitor. Kingdom says, how's that mapping feel to draw with? The drawing itself felt fine. It's weird having the physical layout be different because I'm drawing on basically something that's horizontal, but the physicality of this tablet being very vertical is just weird. It didn't interfere with my drawing per se. It just interferes with like my expectations of this, how it fits on my desk. Wacom driver is quite unstable, sadly. There are a few bugs, I think, with this driver. I showed you one of them, and they'll get corrected, I'm sure. I haven't had much stability problems with Wacom drivers on my machines, but I know some people tend to have a lot of problems with, especially Wacom center crashing. Mir, glad you joined us. Let's see. It's more of a Windows problem than a Wacom problem. If you plug in the new Intuos into an Android, then switch the Android's orientation, the activator changes automatically to match no drivers. Luna, I think you're right. What I think also is contributing to this is I tested a number of Wacom tablets, 4 of them, with Android 14 and Android 15 devices, and things just kind of worked. I have heard, though I haven't tested it out, that older Android versions don't do as well when you automatically change the orientation. And I did test this tablet out with Android, by the way. In fact, give me a second, I'll show it to you. One moment. Well, I'll show you my testing results so everyone understands what I'm referring to. One second. Okay, let's get to my document website. I'm going to go to Android testing. So it was Tablet Kitten who asked me to test a couple of tablets with this Android devices that I have. And so what did I test? I tested pressure sensitivity. Oops, express keys. I accidentally hit express key. Let me unplug the tablet for a second. I tested express keys. I tested pressure sensitivity. I tested tilt support. And I tested that the active area works when you flip the Android device in both landscape and portrait automatically. And then I also tested that the active area matches the aspect ratio, so there's no distorted drawing, okay? So here are my results. Okay, again, I didn't test every tablet, I didn't test every Android device, but what I found was this. Basically, for the Pixel 9a, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, the Samsung S24 Ultra phone, and I think I tested the Samsung S9 FE as well. And I tested the Intuos Pro 2017 Medium, Intuos Pro 2025 Medium, and the one by Wacom Medium. All of them worked fine. Now, all of these Android devices are using Android 15 or 14. They worked great. Just one note for the one by Wacom Medium, CTL672, I had to use an OTG adapter. And I think you can use any OTG adapter, means on-the-go adapter. I bought one from Wacom and I bought one from Anker, and they both worked, right? So as long as you use the OTG adapter with the one by Wacom, it seems to work fine. So the Intuos Pro 2025 worked great with Android devices. And I don't know if that means the Intuos did something specific. It may just be that Android has gotten better in versions 14 and 15 dealing with tablets. Because I notice a lot of people have problems with tablets on their phones. But at least with Android 15 on my Samsung S24 Ultra, it worked fine. Now, the one thing that didn't work is express keys. There's no way to use the express keys as far as I could tell. And let's see. And Camille says it does. I use mine to a small 2025. Okay, so you've used it also on the Pixel 9a and Galaxy Tab S10 Plus. Got it. That is really good to know. Mir, thank you for noticing the my fit today. I'm very proud of the new look. I think I'm going to make this a regular part of the 7 Pens live series, or even my normal videos. Koyo says, Kemi Luna, it's because Android has PNP Universal Driver for drawing tablet. Again, the one limitation I believe I think we have seen is that those drivers don't know about express keys, which is to be expected. The other thing that we have to be aware of is some of you have probably used Samsung DeX, or I think Android is also in Android 16 going to come out with a desktop mode. Now this is going to cause problems almost certainly, because if you support desktop mode, you're really in a complicated world now, because your phone has a screen and your monitor has a screen, and so you have all these options. The screens have different sizes and resolutions and orientations, and you could be duplicating them or not, right? And the desktop may be on one but not the other. I do not know what is going to happen with a drawing tablet if you plug into an Android device with this desktop mode, right? And it may be that the pointer is going to be on the wrong screen. It may be that you get distortion. So when Android 16 comes out, I'm really curious to try it out. This reminds me I should really try this out with Samsung DeX to see what kind of issues I have. I expect to find issues, by the way, because this is not a scenario I think most operating system developers think about. Multiple screens with the drawing tablet. Let's see. Where's that comment from Nick? I usually use half screen for references and half for drawing, so yeah, mapping to half screen can be usable if you have a huge display. Yeah, I've avoided that because I find it. I have done it, but when I have done it, it's either temporary or it's a widescreen display where I can connect two cables to the monitor, so the computer thinks they're actually two monitors, and then it works really great because it effectively is two monitors. Let's see, Camille says XP Pen Deco 640 only works in vertical and uses up the whole active area. So if your phone is too long, yeah, circles become ovals. Yeah, that's a classic problem. Can you, Camille, does that problem occur with your Pixel 9a and the S10 tablet that you have? It sounds like it does, but could you confirm that? Because that would give me a clue about where this behavior is. It seems like it's partially in the operating system, Android, and partially in the tablet. I wonder if you, okay, Mir says, I wonder if you can configure the buttons in Open Tablet Driver. I don't have that machine around with me with Open Tablet Driver, Mir, but I'll test it out again. I don't recall if it works. Maybe someone here who is an OTD who uses it can tell me, because it's really a config right now. You can add Open Tablet Driver. It's not built into Open Tablet Driver quite yet. Okay. What I wanted to do, I think we've gone over the core differences on the tablet, but let me know. Cami Lunas made a comment. I can try it now with the Samsung, but it does make ovals in the Pixel 9a. Yeah, if you can just test it out, I'd love to just see it. But I think it'll probably make ovals there too. But it'd be good to have that data point. Nick says, if I remember correctly, 2017 Intuos Pro Express keys and dials are still not supported by OTD. I thought the Express keys were, but not the dials. But it could be me that's remembering it incorrectly. I don't normally use Express keys, so I just never test that scenario. Okay, I'll keep looking on the comments if you want me to test something. But what I want to do now is just go over. I'm gonna do a formal video on it, but I thought it'd be a great opportunity just to run down the decision-making process about 2017 and 2025, the Intuos Pro models, and what the differences are. So those of you who are curious, we can talk about which one you should get. So give me a second, and let me get to my demo machine. Mir says that oval circle reminded me of the circle tablet area used by Cube. Yeah. I still need to understand why people want to use that circular tablet area. It's such an interesting thing that people would want. Or I have trouble understanding why they want it. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay, so I want to just talk about the 2017 versus 2025, and feel free to pipe in with any comments about the differences and your observations. So I guess I would summarize it like this. If you don't have either of them and you want to buy one of them, then either of the choices is going to be fine for you. You should just make sure you understand the differences, right? And the key thing, let me just write it in here. I'll do it like this. The key differences you need to understand are about the bezels and the express keys. And I would say UDEMR pen compatibility. Right? I think if you're understanding the pros and cons of these three things, then that'll help you with the decision. I would love to say right now that, you should get the 2025, or, you should definitely get the 2017. I don't think I can say that. I can say there's nothing wrong with getting the 2017. I think if you got the 2017, you'd be incredibly happy. Because we have, basically 8 years of experience with the 2017. So people love the tablet. No one's out there hating the 2017 model. I mean, a vanishingly small number of people. So if you had to put me on the spot and say, you've got the money to get either tablet, and which do I think someone would be most satisfied with? I think the odds are most people, I would just say, just get the 2017 because I'm sure of it. It's not that 2025 isn't as good, and it's not that 2025 doesn't have some advantages. It's just that I'm very sure based on our experience that you'll like it, right? Now, what if you already have not 2025. What if you have 2017? I'm going to say this again, and I hate to say this because I always want the new one to be you got to get it. The 2025 edition is not a must-have upgrade. I don't want to say that because it is a good tablet. And I don't want to insult the tablet because I think there are many positive aspects of it. But if you have the 2017 and you're happy, unless there's like some very clear reason why you're upgrading, don't. Because you're not going to get an improved drawing experience. You're just going to get differences that, have the risk of being negative differences for you. To date, I have really not met many people who complain about the bezels of the 2017. I used to think the bezels were too big. Now I've become a bezel appreciator, right? Like a bezel respecter, as they say. And I appreciate the sizes of the 2017 bezels. So I think you should wait, right? If your 2017 breaks, if you're, if you need, what's the right word? If you need its new Bluetooth compatibility enhancements, and I'll actually write that down as a change. Then yeah, but I don't think these are strong must-have reasons. Okay, let's see. And Mir's talking about the circular area. The reason why people want to use circular area is because our wrists are more comfortable when doing circular motion. Tokaku tested this out, and you can find it on YouTube. Okay, I'll take a look, Mir. Thank you for bringing that up. Though it is mostly OSU related. Got it. So I think what you're saying is someone who's just drawing or using it as a mouse replacement wouldn't necessarily want this, but OSU players might. I sent Camille says I sent photos on the React channel. Let's take a look at it. And thank you, Camille, for doing that. Okay. So it is distorted. And this is the S10 Plus, I believe. Very interesting. Okay, what this tells me is it's not just the Android OS, and it's not just the tablet. There's both of them can affect whether this works or not. Okay? Clearly, the Intuos Pro 2017 and 2025 work correctly, but this with Deco 640, I believe, does not. So I'll write this down as a data point. Thank you. And Camilina, can you just confirm the Android version on that tablet? Oh, and she says also, and the XP Pen tablet has to stay vertical. Yeah, and can you confirm the Android version on that tablet as well? Just to make sure it's not, I think it's probably 14 or 15, which is what I used, but just want to confirm it. And Mir says, this tablet looks good, just wasn't convenient for me to use, though my testing, where's Mir's comment again? My testing because of the bezels compared to other tablets like Gamma S620. Okay. Nick says, the main problem is if you have a T-Rex hands, no tablet will make you draw better. Many pro artists work on ancient cheap tablets and do amazing arts on them. Yeah, look, I think, last week I did that, was it last week or early this week? I did my stream on the history of Wacom Intuos Pro tablets. And I don't think I said it at the time, but I'll say it now. The software has improved in the last 30 years. Don't get me wrong, right? And the machines have improved in the last 30 years, certainly. But I have seen every generation of artists use, and we're now to like Gen 8, really, for Intuos Pro. There wasn't a moment when a new Intuos Pro came out and magically artists were creating better art just because there was a new version of the tablet. That did not happen. the tablet had a very minor role, a very, a vanishingly small role in how, the nature of the art people were making, in my opinion, right? And so to Nick's point, the ancient cheap tablets let you do amazing art. Don't get fooled into thinking that these new tablets are enabling you to create great art. It is not, has nothing to do with the number of pressure levels or lines per inch or anything like that. Okay? Good artists were making good art even with tablets that had 256 levels of pressure and had much less resolution than what we have today. So it's not the artist. There are other reasons to get good professional tablets. Durability, the pens have a wide pressure range, which has improved, and that is better. And they'd have less wobble. Those are real improvements, but those are improvements that didn't unlock artistic ability. They just made the drawing experience higher quality and just better to use. If someone feels differently, I would love to hear it. And Camulina says Android 15. Okay, thank you for confirming, Camulina. So Nick says, so speaking of the new King 2025L, how will you set it up? I mean, keyboard on top and toolbox under left hand, and forget about the new dials. Yeah, that's exactly right, Nick. I'll lay it out just to make sure everyone sees what I'm talking about. I will do exactly what you said. Actually, this is my standard setup, which I'm going to show. Right? Just pretend that this is a toolbox. I should have had a spare one available. But this is how I'll use it. Exactly like this. I'll have the keyboard flush with the tablet, and I will disable these express keys, and I'll be drawing, and I'll be clicking on the toolbox like this, and that's going to be how I draw. That's it. And occasionally I will pick up the mouse. Occasionally I'll type in a file name on the keyboard. Now, when I'm with a medium-sized tablet, I sometimes put the keyboard to the right. And I'm just going to test it out just very briefly. And let me just tell you what it feels like. Now, this is a relatively wide keyboard because it has a, what do you call this? Keypad, numeric keypad. Oh, sorry, I got this in the wrong place. I'm right-handed, so I need this the other way. Okay, I'm sorry, this, you're not getting quite everything in frame, but I think you understand what I'm trying to show you. This keypad is really pushing the left part of the keyboard away from me a bit too much. I will say right now, with the Intuos Pro 2017, this could not work for me, okay? This could not work. With the Intuos Pro 2025, this layout can work for me because I'm able to, this still feels, even though it's slightly to the right of my center line, which is right about here, it's correctly positioned for my right hand, and my left hand is correctly positioned with the keyboard. With the 2027 large, here's what happens. Give me a second. My hand just is it's really stretching a little bit over here, right? And it feels like, it's not a big difference, honestly, physically. It's only just a couple of inches, but it feels like my arms have to spread wider than they need to, okay? And it's a little uncomfortable. And that's why I don't like using the 2017 model with the keyboard on the left. Even with a smaller keyboard, a not quite as wide will help. But with the 2025, it feels noticeably more natural, at least for my arms, and I have slightly longer arms. With a keyboard that did not have a numeric keypad, this might work pretty well for me, actually. And with a medium, I draw this way. So I might go back to this style, because the only reason I was doing this was because the 2017 was so wide, it didn't work for me, okay? So I'll try both, but I think the side-by-side will actually work for me. Let's see. Prima says, slightly off topic, but why am I having a hard time to flick lines on XP Deco Pro Gen 2, but not on older Wacom Intuos Pro 2013 tablet? Prima, can you, I don't know if you're on the Discord, but if you are, or if you're not, can you join? And in the tablet, in the live stream chat channel, or in the general channel, can you just show us the difference in what's happening? Because it really depends on what you are talking about. Like, what is the visual effect that you're getting when you flick? Some people like flicking, and some people don't. If you're seeing a weird artifact, then we'd like to see it. That'd help us understand maybe why you're having a hard time with it. It could be because there's a higher initial activation force with the pen on the Deco Pro Gen 2. That shouldn't be that different from the Pro Pen 2 or Pro Pen 3, so I just love to understand that. Mir says, I tested my Gaumon 620 with my Android tablet. Even though it was built for phones, it still worked, but it has to be on virtual. My pen was moving faster horizontally and slower on virtual. Interesting. I don't think I've tried that scenario, Mir. I'll have to check that out. And this was Android 13. Okay, so slightly older version. Oh, and Mir asks why I have tape on the mouse. This is a really popular question on my streams. And Mir, the answer is, well, I'll show it to you. I have two computers, one for streaming, one's my demo computer. And so I have two keyboards and two mice. And so when it used to get me really confused which one was which. Like I type on the wrong computer. So I use tape just to tell me which one's which. Blue is the streaming computer, and red is the computer I'm demoing on. So when I show you my slide decks, it's on the red computer. That's all that's going on here. It isn't for grip or anything else. It's just to help me know which keyboard to type in. Oops, I accidentally locked my Mac. There we go. I am back online here. I also sent a photo. Cami says, I just sent a photo now of the Deco 640 connected to Magic Notepad. Not even XP Pen. Oh, that's so sad. Okay, let's take a look. Let us take a look. Ah, sigh. Yeah, look, that's sad. That should work. Like, if you put your brand name on a tablet or a standalone computer, and you have another tablet, they should work well together. That's, part of the promise of the brand, right? So a little sad it does not work that way as expected. But thank you for sending that, Camilano. Nick asks, why would you connect a tablet to another Android tablet? Hey, Nick, I think this could be the future, honestly. Let me do a little segue on this. Now, Cami Luna may have her own reasons for doing it, but let me give you my pitch for why this is actually an interesting thing to do. I think this is no surprise to anyone. We're in a world where Windows is becoming less relevant. In some sense, Mac OS, the desktop Mac OS, is getting less relevant. The mobile operating systems are getting super relevant. Obviously, we've seen this now for quite a while. There's less interesting things going on in Windows. Okay? And for me, I feel like it would be, we're carrying around these very powerful devices right now. And I would sort of just expect them to take on the role what we used to expect out of laptops. And so I would naturally expect that an Android device in the future, as we start expecting them to do more, will just naturally work with other input devices. Because we're gonna, especially when we start getting desktop mode with Android, your expectations will change because you'll expect it to work like a desktop, right? And so for me, that's why I think tablets with Android, a tablet with an Android tablet, it's a really interesting idea. And I think it's something that we have to see, because I want to live in a world where you can carry your art workstation with you in the form of an Android tablet or an iPad, and you can connect whatever device you prefer to draw on with it. It's not quite there yet, but we're getting there. Let's see. It would be better to put the keyboard in front instead of the like this mirror. Let me make sure I understand. You're saying I don't think this is going to work for me, because there's just my hands, my shirt are going to touch these keys. So I don't know how this is going to work. Even if this was a smaller tablet or a smaller keyboard, I don't know having the keyboard below it is going to ever work. But if you could elaborate more why you think it would, or I'd love to know why. Oh, mirror meant vertical. Interesting. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Koyo asks, why don't I use keyboards with 75% size? Oh man, I went through so many keyboards. Keyboard size is so personal to your hands and your body and how they work. I tried. First of all, why am I using the keyboards I'm using here? Because my old wireless ones were interfering and just having connection problems. These seem to work a little bit better, these Logitech ones that I'm using right now. So I tried one without a keypad, and I'm going to test those again. It was some Keychron keyboards. Those worked, though the battery life I think wasn't as good as with this keyboard. But I'm going to switch back to those, and that should help my case. Now I tried one that was really small. I think it was a 75% keyboard. It was just too small for me. It was just missing some keys that I did use. So that's I may switch for that for my streaming computer, but not for an everyday keyboard, Koyo. Prima says, I'm not on my PC where Discord is at the moment, but anyway, when I flick, the resulting line is thicker on Gen 2, while on Wacom it is nicely tapered at the end. Okay, if I understand you correctly, it's not getting as thin as the end. To me, that's partially the initial activation force, which should produce a slightly thicker end, but also it could be related to, report rate, like a lower report rate for the XP Pen tablet. At least those are the two primary factors that jump into my mind about why you might see that. But another thing I've noticed, though, is that software, which app you're using, also has a strong impact on how beginnings and ends of line work, because they do special things to handle the beginnings and ends of lines, and different apps handle it differently. Like you may notice in a lot of Brad Colbo's videos, he'll notice a lot that Photoshop will tend to have, I think, more little strings at the beginning or ends of lines than other apps. And so he tests Photoshop specifically. So see if you can replicate the behavior in another app. Camila says, if you report this to XP Pen, they'll just tell you Magic Notepad wasn't meant for drawing. They will probably say that, to be quite honest. Nick asks, did I try the XP Pen Magic Drawing Pad? Okay, so let's be clear on what tablets we're talking about, because actually 3 of them that are involved. There's the Magic Drawing Pad, which I have never used, and I'm not planning on getting. There's the Magic Notepad, which I do have, and it's okay. But it's really meant for notes. I wouldn't necessarily get it for drawing, even though it can do a passable job at drawing, though it has its own issues while drawing. It is nice that I can use the Pro Pen 2 with it, so that's a nice feature. Do I think it's a great Android tablet? With the Pro Pen 2, the X3 Pro Pen, X3 Pro, it's better than the S Pen from the Samsung Galaxy S series. I just don't think, I'm not sure if it really had anything distinguishing for me that I would make me say, let me recommend it. Because really, it's like more of a rebranded tablet. There's nothing special there except for the fact that it does have this compatibility with the X3 Pro Pen. So I enjoy it. It's sort of just like sitting over there depowered on one of my shelves. Now let's talk about the third thing, which is XP Pen is apparently, is releasing a new Magic Drawing Pad. Now, if I recall one of the conversations we had on Discord, it's actually already released, the Magic Drawing Pad. I'll just call it version 2. It's released in China. People actually have it in China. It's just not released anywhere else. It's going to be, I assume. And I saw a video of it on Bilibili, which is China's equivalent of YouTube. It actually looked decent. It looked pretty snappy. It has DisplayPort in, which is very interesting. What is DisplayPort in? Let me see if I can find. Okay. DisplayPort in means, so it's a standalone tablet, right? So you see something and you can draw on it, right? DisplayPort in means you can use it as a monitor. That's useful. That's very useful. And I don't know if that means you can use it as a drawing tablet connected to a computer. I'll have to check into that. But at least you can use it as a monitor. I think that's a very useful ability for a standalone tablet. So I might get the Magic Drawing Pad version 2. I might do that, right? Not that I need any more tablets, but it's something I'd be very interested in understanding more about. Let's see. Mir says, I love the XP Pen Magic Drawing Tablet. I don't have it. Okay. And Cami Lunar has responded, I connect pen tablets to my Androids to sketch on my phone. It's easier to format comic pages and comic dialogue with the pen tablet than doing it on the screen. Interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. To play Android OSU and because I can. Hey, because I can is the hacker ethos. So good for Cami Luna for saying that. And sometimes it's just fun to do these things. Koyo says, people are prone to misunderstanding how powerful Samsung DeX and Android desktop are. With an app like CSP on Samsung DeX, it's just a full-on desktop program. I need to play around with DeX more. I'm still not used to it. And on my Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, DeX is really sluggish for some reason, or very decently sluggish, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I'd love the idea that I could just walk around with the device and then it can become my desktop system, right? So I'm a big believer in whether it be DeX or something else, like whatever desktop mode is in Android 16, I'm looking forward to it. And ultimately, I just want to say why I'm interested in it. I believe this is going to be our next wave of how creative people will be using tablets and doing art, right? I don't know if we're going to be spending our time with Windows because Windows isn't offering anything to us special. And I don't think Mac OS is either. So imagine a drawing tablet that you can walk around to a coffee shop with, and then you just plug into a monitor and it just works, right? You can use it for whatever you want to use. That is the ideal. Especially as we get, these processors that can have give us long battery life, no noise, no heat, and can deal with programs like CSP, Photoshop, etc., etc. Mir says about the keyboard placement, I've seen a lot of people doing that, especially with keyboards like 60% keyboards. I've also seen people using a stand and having their keys in front. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've every now and then I have seen that. I've never tried it. I did one time try a what do you call it, keyboard tray. So I had the tablet like to the edge of the desk and the keyboard tray underneath. It just didn't work out for me. But I've never tried a stand. And Prima says, that made sense. I just think the newer one has a high report rate. Yeah, just try it out and let's just see what happens. And again, it could be other reasons, but I think those two reasons are the most likely things I can come up with. Magic Notepad is barely more powerful than a Tab S6 Lite. I have both and they run about the same. Yeah, Cami Luna, I would agree with you. It seems just a little bit more. It seems, maybe it's toward a Samsung S9 FE, but I feel it's kind of in the middle. I would love for it to have been more powerful, to be quite honest, because when it's just a notepad, you expect it to be sort of maybe super responsive, and I don't think it's super responsive. It's okay. Mir says, I saw a comment on a tablet review video about how we have it so easy these days. Back in their days, they used to get Wacom tablet with a crappy display. Hey, I spent in 2010, 2011, something like that. I remember buying my first pen display. It was a Wacom Cintiq 21UX, which is a professional pen display. And that cost me, I believe, $2,500, may have cost more. So inflation-wise, it would cost much more today. And I've been using, obviously, Wacom for quite a while then, on the order of like 20 years. And I just thought this was going to be magical. I thought having a pen display was going to unlock my artistic skills. I installed it. I set it up, and I was really disappointed. It took 5 minutes for me to discover pen displays weren't going to solve my problems. It was heavy. It had a lot of parallax. The colors were washed out. I didn't anticipate how it would feel to have this big thing right in front of my face. It got warm. So, yeah, the things are much better these days. Mirror says, I switched to Linux like 2 months ago. I hate Windows for corrupting my artwork file. It auto-updated while saving. Oh, you mean it did a Windows update? Ooh, that is awful to hear. Sorry for that, Mirror. I had the Cami says I had the Cintiq 12WX. Pen performance was great, but the color was so bad. And that's so funny, Cami Luna, because you'd expect that Wacom would have nailed the color. And when I got the 21UX, I was like, what is going on? The color was not as good as the monitors I was using, and that really shocked me. I'm sure there may have been a good reason. Maybe they had to pick certain panels because of power and heat issues, but it was a disappointment. Okay, I want to get back to my 2017 versus 2025 slides for a moment and just go through them because I had some specific items I wanted to address there. Oops, where are we? Okay. Oh, I'm on the wrong keyboard, of course. Now you know why I have tape on these keyboards. Okay. Topics. So there's some things I wanted to go over, and we'll talk about them. We'll get there in the slides. So first is the cost. The cost is about the same, though what I'm seeing people tell me now is that the 2017 models are now appearing at a slight discount. But sometimes they seem to be about the same price. And of course, that varies on which market you're in. Now the Pro Pen costs are interesting. Now, of course, the Pro Pen 3 is much more expensive than the Pro Pen 2. It's $130 versus $80. Now, you can still use a Pro Pen 2, but if you lose the Pro Pen 3, if you want the same experience, you're on the hook for $130. On the other hand, you can still use the Pro Pen 2 if you want to, but just be aware of the cost. Used cost, I have been checking around on eBay. I still think we expect to see the prices drop on the 2017. Haven't seen a big difference yet. I'm sure that will come. I've said before, I expect a lot of artists will want the latest and greatest, and they are just going to get the 2025, and they're going to sell their 2017s. I would even imagine certain enterprises, companies, might just upgrade their entire set and just dump their old 2017. So I think you will see some good prices not too long from now. The used cost, sorry, this is the wrong title for this slide. This is supposed to be Wacom driver support. So we don't know when Wacom's going to drop driver support for the 2017 model. I think it's going to be between 23 and 2035, and because they support at least 10 years, so it should be 2027. But I think between 2030 and 2035 is when we might see that drop. You can still use the older drivers. You can still use Open Tablet driver. For the Intuos Pro 2025, it's going to be at least 2035. So that's quite a while from now. I don't think the driver support should be a major issue for people at the moment, but keep it in mind because you will eventually have to deal with it. Open Tablet driver, it supports both right now, but for the 2025 version, it's a config file you have to download and install, but support will be built in a future version of Open Tablet driver. We just don't know when that's going to arrive. Head availability is great for both. It's especially good for the Intuos Pro 2025 because the Pro Pen 3 is new, and then of course it is compatible with these UD-EMR pens, or many of them. The 2017 model just is not compatible with UD-EMR pens like the S Pen or the CP913, CP923. I think this is a real advantage of the Wacom 2025 series. Because those pens are cheap. They're between $30 and $40, which is much less expensive than the $80 or the $130 of the Pro Pen 2 and Pro Pen 3. Bezels has turned out to be a big deal. Again, I think this has become more important as I've used the tablet and as I've gotten feedback from the community. So the bezels, of course, are large in the 2017. I used to think that was a disadvantage. I now think that is a surprisingly big advantage of them, or at least it can be a very positive thing. It contributes to a more seamless experience, and especially at the top or bottom of the tablet, they have a much more gentle edge. The 2025 bezels are small. You might notice them more, especially because the edge is not sharp, but just you feel it more, and some people, their hands, they say, hurt with the 2025 bezels. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Oh, Mir has a quick comment. I found out Wacom CTH 680 is a bigger version of Wacom 480. Kind of weird how both of them are different name and different number series. 680. You know, I'm really not that familiar with that model. What is its name, Mir? Also, the 480. Can you just tell us? Because I don't use that model, so I'm not familiar with the names at all. Portability, they're both, well, look, the Intuos Pro 2025 is much more portable. It's very good. It just fits in more places. It's thinner, it's lighter, and it's just as rugged. Now, the 2017 is decent, but it's definitely not as portable as the 2025 model. Now, another question I didn't address in my previous stream is, because a lot of people are saying this, I see this on Reddit all the time or in YouTube comments, and they're saying something to the effect of, well, I wanted to get the new version, I don't like the bezels, I don't like the size, whatever, I don't like the express keys, and they're saying things like, hey, I'm abandoning Wacom, I'm going to switch to Huion or XP Pen. And I wanted to specifically address this. And the question is it true? Is now the time to switch to Huion and XP Pen? And the answer is not clear cut. And I don't think the answer is yes yet. But we're close. And I just want to talk a little bit more about, how close we are. So number one, the Huion and XP Pen professional pens still don't quite get up to the lowest IAF that you will see with the Pro Pen 2 and Pro Pen 3. Now, to be fair, not everyone will notice that. I think lots of people do not really notice the initial activation force differences. So for a lot of people, it doesn't matter. But if you are very sensitive to it, XP Pen and Huion aren't quite there yet. And that is, I think, true. I think if you look at the measurements Cube has made from Huion and what people have said, it's pretty clear they're not there yet. Even Huion says that they are at their lowest with their PW600 pens. They're at like 2 gram force. The X3 Pro pen is at 3 gram force, whereas Wacom is less than, it's like less than 1 gram force. So there is a difference there. Again, most people would not notice. I can just barely notice, and I have to be trying to notice, okay? Number 2, the PW600 pen, that series from Huion, it's really there in terms of the pressure range. The max pressure and thus the pressure range are really mapping, and they're matching Wacom's Pro Pen 3 series, right? And even Pro Pen 2 for some units. So I think Huion has delivered a good, solid PW600 series. It's their best pen. Right now, the PW600 series from Huion are the best non-Wacom pens available, and many people, I'm sure, would be using the Huion PW600 pen, and they would find it to be just as good as a Wacom Pro Pen. Some people will notice the Pro Pen from Wacom has a lower initial activation force, but I think a lot of people would not be able to tell the difference. I think that's a very fair statement. Now, the X3 Pro Pen isn't quite there yet. And the reason it's not there yet, it has to deal with inconsistency in maximum pressure and thus pressure range. Depending on which unit you get, the maximum pressure is like okay or good, but never great. I still like the pen, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about the X3 Pro Pen. It's just inconsistently okay to great, or okay to good. So let's just say it's good. I'd like it to be consistently great, which is what the PW600 is, okay? So you have to keep that in account. So it's not quite there yet. Another thing that you'll notice, especially if you've spent a lot of time using Intuos Pro, they have very little pointer lag. And that's due to a number of reasons, but some of that really is they have technically better digitizer. They have a better digitizer. They don't need to smooth out noise in their digitizers, and they have less lag because they have less smoothing. You'll notice a little bit more smoothing with Huion and XP Pen for both of them. I think they're about the same level. Many people would not notice, but if you come from an Intuos Pro and you're switching, you might notice it. Now, I've tried many Huion tablets and many XP Pen tablets, and I will say it's one of those things where you might notice for the first, at least it's me talking, you might notice for the first couple of days, maybe the first week. I describe the experience as the Huion and XP Pens are slightly more, quote, floaty. Can you imagine what that means, floaty? Like they just lag just a little bit more. But that feeling goes away after a week or two, okay? At least for me it did. So at this moment, I would say you could honestly get a Huion pen tablet instead of an Intuos Pro. However, wait until Huion releases a pen tablet that uses Pentec 4.0. That means it uses the PW600 pen, because those are the ones that are highly competitive with Wacom Intuos Pro tablets. Let's not get mistaken, Wacom's tech is still better, but the ways in which they're better are less and less noticeable, and I think Huion has really caught up with them, okay? So Pentec 4.0 pen tablets, we don't know when they're coming out, but things seem to be a little bit delayed on the Huion end. Maybe it's because of tariffs, I don't know. But that's what you want to wait for. For XP Pen, I think again, because there's inconsistency in the pressure range, you would want to wait until their next generation. And I don't know, maybe they'll call it X4 Pro. And if they can get consistent pressure, then I think they're there as well. So within one tech generation, maybe two, all competitors for Wacom are going to offer you an experience that would be better, on par, with an Intuos Pro. But they're not quite there yet. In Huion's case, it's because they haven't released pen tablets with PenTech 4.0. In XP Pen's case is they just haven't taken that next step with their Pro pens. Okay? So I hope this helps clarify, I don't think it's fair to say right now you can just get a Huion or XP Pen. I think you have to exercise some judgment in the Huion case, PenTech 4.0, and in the XP Pen case, you have to wait for their next PenTech version. That's my honest feeling. Oops. Let's see, we have a few comments I want to address. Mir says, I fell in love with the Huion after PW600. It is a great pen. It is a great pen. And that's why, it's one of the reasons the Huion Canvas 13 Gen 3 and the 16 Gen 3 are, have you ever heard the expression punching above their weight? Especially the Canvas 13 Gen 3, which at least in the United States is on sale for like $225. Fantastic deal, right? So it's a good, solid tablet. Any of the ones with these PW600 pens are. Okay, let's see. Cami Lou says, I want a PenTech 4.0 Huion tablet, praying I have money to buy one when it drops. Now, before you do that, Cami Lou, I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page that there can be difficulties in using, let me back up for a second. If you have a Wacom tablet and you install, let's say, the Huion driver, on Windows, there can be difficulties in having two drivers installed at the same time. It's a complicated topic, and there are ways to deal with it to some level, but it's kind of, I generally recommend people don't mix and match tablet on Windows because of the driver issue. On Mac OS, my experience has been much better. But if you're using Windows Ink, theoretically, everything should just work, okay? Theoretically. Same, and GS 1333 is on sale. Yeah, let me just quickly check actually Huion's site. I believe they have a sale on it a lot, and I believe right now it's substantial, or it's significant. There's no point getting a different tablet for at 13 inches. Let's see. Pen displays, view all pen displays. Canvas 13 Gen 3. Where is it? Where's the sale? I thought they had a sale somewhere here. Let me just click on buy here and let's see if we can find it. Okay, here it is. So normally $250. Right now, basically $225. That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. Let me give you a comparison to the Wacom 12-inch, Wacom 112, okay, DTC 123, sorry, 121. That's $400 for a 12-inch tablet, which has a bad pressure response. I don't actually, it's not that bad, but I just don't recommend it. I don't think for $400 you should be getting this device. But for $225, this Huion Canvas 13 Gen 3 is a great choice. And you get a much better pen, right? Let's see, Cami Luna says, I'm dealing with driver conflicts with my Artist Pro 16 Gen 2 and Intuos Pro 2025. I have the XP Pen configured with Open Tablet driver since I don't use the remote or anything. Okay, that makes sense. If you don't need Express Keys remotes, it's easier to use with Open Tablet driver. And Mir says, oh, and I can get the white version of the GS1333. That's the Canvas 13 Gen 3. but I'm afraid it'll get dirty quickly. So I just bought the pink version and said, I'm all for tablets that aren't just gray or black plastic. So, I'm glad you at least got the pink. I think it's nice to have some variety in the colors of these tablets. Oh, and by the way, I sent images on the Discord about the Wacom CTL 480 and 680. Okay, let's take a quick look. Where is it? Is it in general? Here it is. Okay, it's in general. Let's take a look. 680. Until you showed me this picture, I visually remember the 480. I didn't even realize they had a 680, to be quite honest. I never knew they had a medium size. I don't know, it never stuck in my head. I think I had a 480 a long time ago. But thanks for sharing that, Mir. And let's see if there's anything else I wanted to say about the Intuos. Open tablet driver I talked about. Pen availability is excellent. I talked about this. Texture sheets. Okay, this is another difference. The texture sheets, there's 3 types with 2 sizes for the 2017. 1 type with 3 sizes for the 2025. I think it's nice they have all 3 sizes available. It's getting kind of hard to find texture sheets for the 2017 edition. So, if you're going to get the 2017 new, make sure you buy some extra texture sheets, okay? Portability, we talked about that already, and we talked about this. Okay, yeah, I think we're good. Okay, I think we covered everything I wanted to cover on this topic. I'll just hang on the stream to see if there's anything else, and if there isn't, we'll end the stream in a few minutes. But this has been good. I think we've covered everything about all 3 tablets now. And as I'm waiting for comments, what I'm going to do is I am going to take notes from this discussion and the previous discussion, and I'm going to update the document I built. And let me just show you the document so everyone's clear on what I'm talking about. So on my drawing tablet site, if I search for X70, I have my notes on the series. Okay, and I'll paste my notes here into the chat. And if anyone needs to see what I've written down here, links to the video as well. And I've added more information here, okay, to talk about the tablets. And this is because some people want the video and some people prefer reading. And it's hard to update the video. You can't update videos on YouTube. So I update the document, okay? And so all my information is there. This includes right now information for the medium, but I'll add information for the large and small as well. Okay, and some of the discussion we had today. But yeah, it's a pretty long. I mean, it's a long document. There's lots of comparisons, lots of things that I wanted to cover here. And I think I covered. Oh yeah, there's one other topic I didn't mention here, which is the report rate. So this was something that someone asked me. Just wanted to make sure I cover with this audience. What I found was the report rate for the 2025 PTK 670 was higher in both wired and wireless cases. It's a little bit less with the with the Pro Pen 3. It's a bit higher than with the Pro Pen 2 for the 2025 version. So overall, we got, in the typical case, Pro Pen 3 wired, we got 300 hertz with Open Tablet Driver, right? So at least that's what I'm seeing, Open Tablet Driver report. I think all those numbers are I think they're correct. Those reports can't be touch. They're all the pen position because this tablet does not have touch, of course. Let's see. Koyo has an interesting comment. Here's an interesting topic you could do. Movink as a pen tablet versus Intuos Pro 2025. Okay, yeah. I might write it down in the document or do a small video. Let me give you my thoughts about that right now. I'd love to be able to use the Movink as a replacement. My only fear about the Movink is the surface of the Movink is not as durable. It scratches up much more easily. I've accidentally scratched it 2 or 3 times already. These aren't major big grooves, but I do notice them when especially the tablet is off. So that's my concern about the Movink 13 as a pen tablet. You got to be a little extra careful about it. Mir says, let's see, since I bought a GS1333 Edge Glass, I've never used a device without a screen protector, or this will be the first time. Okay, let me give you some quick things, 2 quick things. Number 1, make sure your nibs are clean. Make sure your tablet surface is clean. It is still when I talk to people about this, it's still a bit of a mystery why people's etched glass surfaces get scratched up. The latest theory that has come up in the Discord is the following. First of all, I don't get my glass screens, I don't see them getting scratched up. The Movink does not have a glass screen, so that's why it gets scratched up. But the current theory is this. Small particles of metal in the environment, in your environment, your room, whatever, can get on the surface of the tablet, maybe even embed themselves in the plastic of the nib, and those small little pieces of metal, or I assume they're metal, can scratch up the tablet. And someone commented that they were in I don't know how to quite say this, an industrial location where there was lots of pieces of metal, small pieces of metal being created, and that they found that all their glass screens would get scratched up, right? So just be cognizant of that and keep observing your tablets. Because the moment you start seeing scratches, not to make people get paranoid, but maybe you should take a flashlight or something and just look around and see if you notice anything. And if you do, you start noticing a little bit of those tiny little faint spiderweb scratches. Maybe put a surface protector on it, or, so you won't get any more. But in my environments, which are dusty, but not filled with anything that harms tablets, I have not gotten tablets scratched up, glass tablets. Let's see. Okay, anything else? Okay, I think we're good, and that was a good suggestion, Koyo. I will at least write something down about that topic on the Movink versus using the Movink as a pen tablet. Okay, so as we're closing down the session, I just wanted to say, first of all, thanks everyone for your time. It's another great session. We get to have fun talking about tablets. I am behind on a lot of tablet reviews, or tablet notes, I should say. I don't consider myself a reviewer. I'll try to get those done in the next couple of months. I know, again, I'm just kind of slow right now. But with that, I would say this has been a great session. You're always a very kind audience, and you keep this process you keep me very engaged in these videos. And, it helps keep my enthusiasm up for making these videos and buying tablets, et cetera, et cetera. So everyone, I want to just thank you again for your patience and your engagement and your time. And I'll see you all soon. Okay? We'll do another stream very soon. So have a great night, everyone.